Is hypnotizing someone without their knowledge crossing a moral boundary? So I've had a question come in from Elizabeth. It's a fantastic question. It's about covert hypnosis. Elizabeth asks, James, do you have any experience in covert hypnosis? And if you do you feel that hypnotizing somebody without their knowledge is crossing a moral boundary? So, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for asking this question, Elizabeth, because it's an interesting question in and of itself. However, it affords us the opportunity to take a little bit of a deeper look at what's going on with hypnosis. What is it? Because we need to know what is it before we can say, is doing it crossing a moral boundary? Now, one of the things that I think is strongly presupposed in this question is that hypnosis is a thing that you're either doing or you're not. And when you bring it to everyday communication, this is covert hypnosis, when you bring this and you weave it in, then it gives you some kind of power that you wouldn't normally have. And then because you're using this power, is it an ethical thing to use this kind of power? Now, I think that conceptualization of hypnosis is in part true. There's some truth in it, but it's not really true. Because in reality, hypnosis isn't a special thing. Hypnosis is simply the use of language and communication to direct attention, lead cognition, and seed ideas for the purpose of leading someone into an altered experience of reality. If you like, it is the strategic use of language and communication to move minds in specific ways. Okay, now, when we think about it like this, if you look and think, well, language and communication to move minds, actually, this is what we're doing all the time. This is the purpose of language in communication and non-verbal communication as well. When we communicate with others, we are out to influence them. We are out to move their minds in particular ways, out to get them to understand things. We are trying to shift their perspective and attention in all manner of ways, both using reason and logic and sometimes by pressing emotional buttons and this kind of thing. So all of us human beings, we're all using the mechanisms of hypnosis to influence others all the time. As soon as you open your mouth to communicate, you are doing it. For this reason, because this is the way I conceptualize hypnosis, for this reason, I've often said before that we are all hypnotists with a small h. And what I do when I'm training people, particularly if I start to train people in everyday influence, covert hypnosis, this kind of thing, I'm training people to become hypnotists with a capital H, i.e. they're using the same processes of language and communication to move minds, but they're doing it with a higher level of skill and a higher level of understanding, and that is why they get better and more effective at doing it. This is the aim, to become a better and more effective influencer. Now, if we look at this with regard to morality, or I'm going to use the term ethics, by the way. For me, morals and ethics are slightly different things. I'll post a link to a video I made about that if you want to check that out, but I'm going to use the term ethics. So if we think about this in terms of ethics, it's difficult to see how being able to do something which is such a fundamental part of being human, how being able to do it better would move it from the realm of the unethical to the from the realm of the ethical to the unethical. So it's difficult to see why our everyday crude attempts at influence should be ethical, and any more sophisticated attempts at influence should automatically be unethical simply because they're more sophisticated. That doesn't make any sense to me. So this shifts the onus of where the ethics lie, so to speak. And it isn't that you are doing it. It isn't that you are attempting to influence others or you are influencing others. It is, in what way are you attempting to influence them? I.e., towards what ends? Towards what ends are you wanting to influence? And I think this is where the real ethical question lies. So I don't think there's any issue in using any skill you have around understanding human cognition and how it can be influenced with language and communication. I don't think there's any ethics in using that in and of itself, but I think what you do with it does warrant some ethical reflection. it really does warrant some ethical reflection. So that's the area, and I mentioned in the video I put a link to before about the difference in ethics and morality. And for me, ethics is about really thinking through what's important to you, how you are going to choose to engage with the world and live your life. So this is where the ethical question really lies. One last point I want to make around this is I don't tend to use the term covert hypnosis that much. I'll use it from time to time because there's some buy-in for that concept out in the world, and it helps to reach the people out there that there's some buy-in with. But generally speaking, I don't like that frame, covert hypnosis, because I am, in many instances in life, every time I communicate with somebody else, in one way or another, there's an effort to influence going on. But I don't want to hide that. I'm never interested in hiding that. I would prefer to be completely open. I think one of the problems with the whole covert hypnosis frame is it has people trying to manipulate others whilst hiding their true agenda and all of this. And I think that's very weak. I think it actually undermines influentiality and powerful communication. I've also made a video on that, which you can check out. I'll put a link up here too, which is called Covert Hypnosis versus Powerful Communication. So, feel free to check that one out as well. Okay, so once again, I hope that's given a useful perspective for you, Elizabeth, if you're watching this video, and I hope you are watching this video. I'll let you know that it's up. And for anybody else watching this, and if you are watching this and that's opened your mind to something, if it's seeded an idea in your own mind, opening up some new possibilities, if you like the video, hit like on the video. And if you want to learn more about hypnosis, pragmatic psychology, influence, these kinds of things, do subscribe to this channel, James Tripp, Chaos Wave. You can subscribe and hit the notifications so you'll know when new videos come up. In the meantime, also make use of the comment section. Ask any questions you want to ask. When you ask questions, that drives the conversation forward.